Hey guys, Travis D here.
And the Freak Joe.
And we're bringing you another vlog of our tour of Indiana cemeteries.
That's right. This one is the Boone-Hutcheson Cemetery in Greencastle, Indiana. This particular cemetery is notable for being started by the Boone family, specifically Daniel Boone himself, the Daniel Boone. It's very exciting. The cemetery has around 1,000 interments and is located near Reelsville in Putnam County. There are at least 21 Boones and 84 Hutchesons buried there, which is why it's called the Boone-Hutcheson Cemetery.
And just so you guys know, as we go through, you're obviously going to see a lot of Hutchesons, a lot of Boones. But Daniel Boone is not buried at this cemetery.
That is correct, yeah.
I think he's buried in Kentucky. There's some similar to that. But a lot of his family, a lot of his relatives are buried here, siblings and parents. There is a lot to the cemetery that is pretty cool. Obviously, when you watch the intro of the video, the big stone sign that entered the cemetery, but also if you noticed as we were driving up to it, it was quite a drive to get back to the cemetery, and the steepness of that road is a lot more than what the video actually showed you. It was pretty high up there on top of the hill. If you guys ever visit this cemetery and you get to the main road to enter the cemetery, if you look up, you'll see how high and off into the distance it was. A little fun behind the scenes fact for you guys: when I was searching for these cemeteries on which ones we were going to do and which ones we were capable of getting to, when I looked at this cemetery on the map, it actually looked like it was inside of a wooded area that actually had no road to it. So if you ever found an interest in going to the cemetery and you come across that situation, just keep in mind that there is a road that goes to it. It's easy accessible. You just got to have a vehicle with a lot of power to get up a steep hill.
Yeah. And you know, growing up in Indiana, I don't think of hills as being part of the state, especially northern Indiana. Everything is flat. And so it was really interesting to come to this area that's so elevated. I mean, you feel like you're in Kentucky or Tennessee or something. And very, very beautiful cemetery. Another one where there's lots of fantastic graves overlooking the countryside with a really good view off the hill. Highly recommend it. Really beautiful place.
Yeah. Now, at the top of the hill where we are right now, you guys see this is a newer area of the cemetery. The older cemetery markers are at the bottom of the hill, which we're going to head there towards more of the halfway mark of this video. But if you guys get a chance, we're looking at the groundskeeper building over here, and we may actually be peeking inside it here in a moment because I happen to be unlocked and opened up.
That's right. And there are other YouTubers who have done paranormal investigations of this area. The groundskeeper's building there is one of the places that is considered to be quite haunted. I don't know that we really got to see anything, although there was a very creepy feeling going in there. Granted, it could have been my fear of wasps and the fact that there were lots.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember our visit here. I want to say that there was a weird feeling. I see this was actually pretty cool. We don't see a lot of these.
And the sea gave up the dead in it. Revelation.
Yeah, it was just, like we were thinking it was gonna be more of like a grave marker, but it wasn't. It was just kind of
just a random monument memorial thing.
Yeah. So Boone-Hutcheson Cemetery, 1812 established. We're gonna take an opportunity to peek inside this groundskeeper building. It doesn't seem like it's a very used building. It just almost seems kind of like it was just a storage for the time being. But there is a point inside here where it did feel like eerie, and it wasn't like, you know, like wasps and stuff for Joe, but for me, like it's like I don't know if you ever hear people when they talk about if they're in like a presence of a ghost or anything like that. Like they have like this weird feeling going through their body of like just sadness. Like, there was a moment, like, when I walked in there, I felt completely fine, but after being in there, even for the brief seconds we were, it just felt like this, like in my mind, I wanted just to stop filming and just be done. It's like, you know what, we got enough footage, let's just go. But as soon as I walked out of the building, that kind of just went away.
Oh, wow, I don't remember you mentioning that. That's crazy.
Honestly, I didn't think much about it until I was doing the editing on this, and for some reason, when I got back to this footage, it kind of like reminded me, because I mean, obviously when we did the filming for this stuff, and if you guys don't know this, we did the filming for this in 2 days.
Right.
And this was the fourth one we saw within that first day, so we already did several hundred miles of driving, several hours of driving. So I think at the time it was just me being exhausted and just being like, okay, let's wrap it up, let's keep going. But as soon as I walked out of that building again, that feeling just escaped. Like, it just went completely away, and I just felt back to normal.
Wow.
These testament ones are completely, that's a whole family. And the reason we're showing you this end, also because this is an active cemetery, you can see the passings were recent. There are other people in the cemetery, and to, protect their privacy and stuff, we try to do what we can to avoid them filming them as well.
Yeah, although this was really neat. We see a lot of etchings and things on these headstones in lots of different places that we've gone, but this is the only one I can remember seeing in all of our cemetery vlogs that actually has color. So It was really neat to see that sort of like somebody has taken a picture and somehow transferred it onto the headstone with great detail. It was really beautiful.
Now, as far as that stone we just saw, the Whitaker sisters and everything, and obviously you see the pennies and everything. We talked about that in a previous video, where pennies are left as stones for, just showing that you visit there. But those sisters, I know at a moment we were trying to figure out if those were relatable to the story that was told to us about a legend about several what is the word? I think I might be getting something mixed up. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here in silence then.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's just exhausting watching this again, because remember how much walking we had to do.
Yeah, there was a lot. There are allegedly several ghosts here at this cemetery. One is allegedly a policeman in a uniform from the 1950s who sits beside the cemetery holding a blue light. Obviously, we didn't see him, or else we'd definitely be talking about that a lot more. But it is it's one of those places that feels like it is haunted. There are a lot of old stones and new stones that capture the imagination and give you that feeling of what scholars call numinousness, the sense that there is a tiger in the next room waiting to eat you. It's a really fantastic and cool cemetery.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that feeling that you get from these cemeteries is a lot of these ones that we're going to. I mean, they're young people who are dying at an early age, military soldiers who are passing away, coming home. It seems like it's just a sense of uneasiness and unfinishedness.
Yeah.
I don't know if unfinishedness is a word, but
I'll allow it.
So it just seems like constant restlessness. Like, it's just a heavy uneasiness, like you said, the lion or tiger in the next room. But as you mentioned, the police and everything, the cop that patrols the area that we didn't see. Another thing that's been speculated to be seen is a dog, kind of a ghost dog with red eyes. Supposedly, there's also a cave, and that's one thing. We didn't get a chance to do it, but apparently in the woods behind the cemetery, if you go down a ways into the woods, there's supposed to be a cave that you could go into and kind of check out, and there's a ghost dog that kind of protects and haunts that cave. But that's something we just couldn't do.
I think we just decided not to do it.
Yeah.
We had so many to get to, and it was so far off the path, and other people have covered it, so we decided to focus more on the headstones that we could find and the stories that we could find when and where they were recorded.
Absolutely, yeah. And with it being the middle of summer and everything overgrown, there was no safety in it whatsoever to go into something like that by ourselves. It just, we look at safety first, and we want to do the right thing, especially going through these cemeteries. And who knows, maybe down the line, that's something we could look into doing further. But for the time being, we just wanted to check out this cemetery. And as we move through this and everything, we're going to give you guys a chance to kind of sit, check this out and everything. That way you don't have to be interrupted by our voices the entire time, and give you a chance to really check out all these amazing stones as you see people buried from the late 1800s into the most recent 1990s, 2000s, stuff like that. One thing I do want to say before we stop talking, and I think we noticed this a lot in another vlog in Indiana, but the amount of Mason symbols that are on cemetery stones that we have seen in Indiana is crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just it was very popular during the time that a lot of these cemeteries were founded, or what the deal is. But it is cool, to see people, to see Masons.
Yeah.
Not to see them dead, but to see them honored in their way. So
yeah, and you're looking at Mason symbols on stones from like over 100 years ago.
Right, absolutely. So I think this is one of the things that we really wanted to see here. This is the family of Daniel Boone, sisters, brothers, children of people who were direct relatives of him. So this is one of the reasons that this is the Boone-Hutcheson Cemetery. So very cool little monument here. Some very old stones that are totally worn away, and also just other family members kind of in and around this particular marker.
Yeah, so we'll give you guys a chance here for the next few minutes and everything, just to kind of check out the stones that we're going to see. A lot of them are going to be the Boone family, as they were kind of buried along the front end of the cemetery. So we'll stop talking so you guys can kind of enjoy what we were able to enjoy. as we go through this part of the cemetery too, we notice Mercer is one of a very popular name in the cemetery too, thinking that maybe a family has made that distinction that this is going to be where they're all going to be buried.
Yeah, maybe in the future we'll see it as the Boone-Hutcheson Mercer Cemetery. But obviously we're looking around here. These are a lot of the older stones, older areas of the cemetery, and it's interesting to note that these are a lot less uniform, not just in terms of shape and size, but the way that they're laid out. And in this section and the previous section that we saw in the video, obviously as family units, smaller groups of people are buried in straight lines, but then it's the different lines don't line up with each other, which is very interesting to me. Compared to newer parts of the cemetery where things are all lined up, they're all uniform, and it's just it's an interesting difference.
Yeah, and I think uniform is the perfect way to say it. Oh yeah, this is William Gilmore had a lot of writing on it. You guys took a chance to read that all up.
I did. And I don't know what it says now, and I can't read it right now.
Well, it's because I'm horrible with cameras.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was like, put it in focus, travesty. But yeah, one of the things that's kind of unique into it too is every stone, like I said, it's not straight lines. It's almost kind of like, it's like, bury them where you can kind of concept. But even stones that are next to each other, that are families and some of that, aren't even the same type of stone either. And you see those monument type ones that look like the Washington Monument. I don't know any other way to describe them, but that different heights, different size. I don't know if that's just supposed to represent the status of a person in a family or in a community or whatever,
right?
Or what has you.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to see, obviously, you look at, in the back right over there, you got the big stone, the two small ones in the middle, one to the left. To me, you would think father, mother, children on both sides of the father.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just like, it almost just seems like it's all random.
Right. Well, and those stones were definitely so old we couldn't read them anymore, so we really have no idea who's buried there. But I do think it's interesting. In the bottom right of the frame for the past couple of seconds there, maybe even a couple of minutes, there were the two stones that are facing opposite directions. I mean, I think people are typically buried, I want to say, well, it's either east to west or west to east.
Yeah.
I want to say it's west to east, so that they're facing the rising sun for whatever reason. But it's interesting to see stones pointed in different directions and to wonder, is it just because of the practices at the time, or maybe some person was like particularly evil or something and they wanted to bury them in a way that represents the disrespect they want to show them in death. I don't know. It's an interesting difference.
I know there was a reading that I found when we did the first vlog that talked about people who were buried north to south were bad guys who were put to death.
That's right.
Hangings and stuff. And the reason that they were buried north-south is so they didn't get the rising sun and the setting sun and everything, that they didn't have the privilege of that even after death. I know we've seen that more often now that we've been doing these vlogs a lot more. So if that's a truth, then I don't know if it's still something that's represented nowadays or even into the early 1900s. But it's definitely an interesting concept how even after a passing that people have such a belief into a certain thing that they're like, well, listen, don't bury them east and west. They were a criminal, they were a bad guy. They don't deserve to see the sun rising.
Right. Yeah, and just different folk practices, and whether or not it's tied to beliefs about people coming back or being restless or not being able to rest in the next life. It's interesting. It's interesting the choices that we make about how to honor or not the dead.
Yeah. This part's kind of interesting that we're coming up to here is these are almost like like entombed in the ground, but not like buried over in dirt, but more like a capsule.
Yeah.
And obviously you get like kind of the newer looking ones right here with Otis and I think that's Lucille.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. But then you look at the older ones that are over here to the left and the back here, and obviously there's a sitting area. The entire area is almost secluded, or
it's like walled off, but the wall is in the ground for some reason, which is
so it's like they have their own personal like resting area, and it's just kind of cool how somebody does everything differently as far as like their family.
There we go. What a great way to preserve the information on the stones, even as they fade and erode over time.
Yeah, the pioneers may we the descendants always be grateful to them. And then obviously they listed ancestors who came over here in previous journeys. So we're gonna let you guys enjoy the rest of this video as we kind of finish up here, as we walk through some of the interesting different stones that they have here, especially when you check out the ending of the video with this huge acorn monument.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, but I just want to take this chance to thank you guys for watching the video with us. Excuse me, enjoying the vlogs as we go through them. Realistically, we do this for you guys more than we do it for ourselves, even though we have a blast doing it, but we also enjoy hearing the feedback and everything that you guys have for us.
Yeah, if you have any stories, any tales to tell, leave them in the comments. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our other cemetery vlogs. And check out our old ones. We did the tours of the Illinois cemeteries last year, and lots of other videos on the channel. Check them all out.
Absolutely. Frignet Studios on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and the notification bell so you know when these release. We got 13 videos in this series for this year. They're all going to be in the playlist ready to go for you, so you can watch them one right after another. And obviously, if you have the notification bell, you know when they get released, as we release them throughout the entire month of October as we celebrate this freaky show, a month of October. So, guys, enjoy the rest of the video. Enjoy checking out the rest of these amazing tombstones. And, of course, the awesome acorn one at the end. So, I am Travesty.
And I'm the Freak Joe.
And thank you for tuning in to another vlog of our Indiana Cemetery Tour.